the people that run with this high value male, they try to define themselves, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and even with their definition, they still don't fit that. It's funny, man, when you bring up the high level male.
Being a high value man.
Yeah.
I really hate that term.
I do too.
I think it's interesting that there's people that run with that, right? Because they're trying to project to the world who they want them to see them as, you know. And I think that's totally wrong. Lao Tzu, one of my favorite authors, he said, it's funny because Lao Tzu was like a janitor, a custodian in like some Ming Dynasty in the castle, but he wrote and he was very intelligent. And he said, one of his passages in Tao Te Ching, he said, he who defines himself doesn't really know who he is. And I'm like, say less, you know what I'm saying? And I read that a long time ago, so that always stuck.
He who defines himself doesn't really know who he really is.
Right. Because think about it. I've been doing a string of interviews all of January, and they will always say, well, who is Mike Rashid?
Right.
I'm like, you tell me. Because it don't matter what I say to you. What matters is the impression that I leave on you when I'm finished talking to you. So, you know, I can say anything, right? I may be a very nice person to you, very mean person to that person. You know what I'm saying? So who I am is up to, you know, it's up to, I would like for you to have a pleasant experience with me, right? So it's in my best interest to be nice to you and everyone I deal with. But, you know, I don't know how you're going to take me. So, you know, I think people should know who they are to be deeply rooted in something, some kind of foundation, which I have that. But I never run around telling people who I am, like what kind of person I am. I would prefer for, you know, I'll ask specific questions, but I prefer for my actions to do the talking.
Now that makes sense in the sense the way it got me to thinking it's probably better to consistently redefine yourself than to define yourself.
Right.
You understand me? Because once you get, my bro Hassan, man, Hassan gave me some jewels. He currently paraplegic. Well, he's starting to learn how to walk more now, right? He was one of the person that I seen, man. He had a lot of vivacious energy. You see him, he the type of person, man. When they talk about pushing P, man, he was the example of that, man. From Oakland, California, is the type of person that, you know, his energy's always on 1,000. You feel me? Always surrounded by people, live energy. He the type of person that walk up and talk to somebody, woman, while they with him, and they'll still give him the time of day. He had a, everybody can't do it, but he was that type of person. But one day he took a trip out to California, jumped off a cliff in a diving accident, man, and he broke his spine. You understand me? And since then he's been relearning how to walk again. But it never broke his spirit. He went into a very deep spiritual mode and started doing a lot of shadow work within himself. And I remember one day I was talking to him in Lake Mary by Oakland. I had just opened up a store. And I was telling him about how good the store was doing at the time. You understand me? And he had stopped me. He was like, bro, you understand me? That store ain't you. That's just an illusion. He said, you way more than that shit. You gonna do way more than that. You understand me? That store ain't shit. And I didn't take it in a bad manner. You understand me? Because I knew what I was doing subconsciously at the same time. I was filtering who I was through a level of accomplishment for other people to see me in. And because at the time, man, it was a struggle. Right, I didn't have no money for real. I'm struggling to pay rent while struggling to have this business while juggling it. So I wanted people to see the one metric of value and wanted them to see me through that as a filter. So I was giving the world an illusion for them to carry on, but I'm at the same time measuring myself by the value of how people appreciate this illusion. So when I broke that, it was like, damn, you're 100% right. I'm way bigger than this. This ain't nothing. In my mind, I went through re-envisioning myself. Like, who am I really, though? You understand me? I'm more than what I'm showing myself at the moment and what I'm accomplishing and what I'm feeling right now. And from that day on point, I made sure that I never believe the illusions, even the ones I show the world. Because they can only see aspects of myself. I'm the only one that can experience who I really am. And that's a day-to-day experience that I have to go through in consistent development. So like redefining yourself is important because sometimes you get to a point where I call it the content versus being content model, where you created content in your life. You produced who you are now. You are the current content in your life, but you got to be a content creator. You got to consistently create and produce. Otherwise, you become a salesman of who you are, but you're no longer producing any more value.
That is that part.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The people that run with this high value male, they try to define themselves, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and even with their definition, they still don't fit that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's interesting. A part of their little doctrine, part of that is being important to other people, to your community, right? And I'm like, are you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anyway, but that's neither here nor there. I try not to focus on the negative aspects on people, because I feel like unless you're a devil, maybe if I'm around you or whatever, I can nudge you back into a cool space. You know what I'm saying? I try not to push people deeper into a dark space. And even like people that have been like temporary enemies of mine, like, you know, I've been one of those people. Robert Greene in 48 Laws of Power, one of the chapters is crush your enemies totally, right? And that used to be so me. But as I've gotten older and have developed more empathy and being able to look at situations from that person's perspective, like, okay, this person is deficient, they're weak, and they want what I got. That's unfortunate for him. I kind of feel bad for you now, you know what I'm saying? Because you're not that really a threat. So it made me look at things different and try to nudge people. It's interesting, bro. I've sat with people who are enemies, and we ended hugging it out. You know what I'm saying? Because they seen a person that kind of gave a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how I am.